My name is Sereena Binti Shahaya, matriculation number A21DW0383. Today we'll closely examine termination clauses 52 and 53 as inscribed in PWD 203A. Diving into the specifics, termination clause 52 denotes situations where compliance to the contract terms has been overlooked, whereas clause 53 surfaces when the agreed progress rate isn't adhered to by the contractor. Each has different implications and are designed to safeguard the rights and interests of both parties involved in the agreement. Next, let's ponder over the procedure of invoking these clauses. Usually, the process is initiated when a formal notice is served to the contractor, clearly stating the respective termination clause and the rationale behind it. It's a step that requires careful consideration and thorough documentation. However, one must bear in mind invoking these clauses doesn't come without potential fallouts. The ramifications can span across legal disputes, financial setbacks, and even reputational damage. Each of these outcomes is contingent on the specifics of the agreement, the severity of the breach, and how effectively the situation is managed. Moreover, understanding these clauses is not just about knowing when and how to use them, but also about being aware of the implications they carry. It's about grasping how these clauses form the backbone of the contractual relationship, defining its terms and shaping its dynamics. So, our discussion today will revolve around understanding these clauses more deeply, their implications, and how they shape the dynamics of the contractual relationship. Let's begin. In the case of DC contractor Stien BHV University Pertahanan National Malaysia, a significant legal dispute arose when the client, University National Malaysia, abruptly terminated the contract with the contractor, DC contractor Stien BHV. The client cited a serious breach of contract due to the contractor's abandonment of the ongoing construction works. Furthermore, the client pointed to the contractor's failure to proceed with work regularly and diligently, along with the notable non-compliance with on-site instruction. In response to these perceived transgressions, the client initially took formal action by issuing a notice of breach. This notice was followed closely by a notice of termination. However, this first attempt at contract termination was deemed void and ineffective due to a significant procedural error, the client's non-compliance with certain mandatory ministry guidelines. In light of this, the client retracted the termination. They went on to instruct the contractor to resume work, hoping to rectify the situation. However, it wasn't long before further issues arose. The contractor put forward a claim for overhead costs and loss of profit owing to the abrupt contract termination. This claim led to a significant disagreement with the client. In reaction to these escalating tensions, the client then issued a second letter of termination. This letter, however, was issued without a preceding notice of breach. Instead, the client relied solely on the first notice of breach. The entire situation culminated in a legal judgment. The presiding judge ruled that the second termination was void. The reason given was it did not comply with the termination clause present in the original contract, which specifically required a written notice of default and a reasonable time for rectification. The absence of a new notice of breach for the second termination rendered it null and void. Moving forward to the Nirwana construction Stan Bidvi Penggara Jabatan Kerja Raya Negeri Sembilan Darul Khusus and Anorkas, the client severed ties with the contractor after accepting their contract breach. Despite permitting the contractor to finish the school construction, the client later severed the contract, alleging specification non-compliance. The Court of Appeal ruled that the termination notice did not adhere to the contract's clause 51 requirements, as it lacked a valid and specific termination reason. This particular case spotlights the cruciality of following the termination clauses and meeting contractual specifications when ending a construction contract. These cases emphasize the need for meticulous compliance with the termination clauses and the importance of meeting all contractual stipulations when ceasing a construction contract.